Hi everyone, it's Miss Leah again, and we are back with pop-up story time. Today's story is called Winter Moon Song. Oh, can we see that well? Oh, there we go. Winter Moon Song. It's written by Martha Brooks. Show the picture again, and here we go. Right? Once upon a time, in the far deep woods, when the snow looked as if a giant hand had tossed a blanket of stars to earth, there lived a rabbit. He was a youngish rabbit, not so small as to be still doted upon baby, yet not big enough to be noticed in any significant way. He loved to sing, not by himself, but he was learning to do so quite confidently with others. The wind ruffled his ears as he made his way home from choir practice. Their last rehearsal had gone pretty well, and the ancient, difficult but thrilling piece of music called Winter Moon Song was as ready as it was going to be. Tomorrow evening, rabbits would come from everywhere to hear the song performed in grand tradition, inside the gathering place with its majestic windows and the fingering trees beyond. As they had done since the beginning, every few years new singers replaced the old ones. Rabbits who had lost their voices or could no longer remember the song and who, in either case, sank into the background, mumbling the odd note. The rabbit, a new singer, stopped in the snow to think about this. Then, turning his round eyes to the round moon, he tilted his head curiously. There it was in all its mysterious beauty, the pattern of a rabbit in the moon. For the first time in his life he thought about how all the old singers were once young like him, looking at that rabbit, every one of them asking their mothers the same question. How did it get there? How did that rabbit get there? It's a tricky story, his own mother had answered. Does it have a happy ending? It isn't happy or sad, she said. It just is. Can you tell it to me? Ah, yes. A long, long time ago, our great mother, Creator Rabbit, came to Earth, his mother began. She wanted to see how it felt to be one of her creations. Soon she found it was a lonely business, not at all what she expected. She wandered around, cold and confused and hungry. She built a fire and put a stewpot of snow over the flames to melt. There she stood, shivering, watching as the snow turned to bubbling water. I must have been crazy, she said, to think that this would be a nice place for all of them I love so dearly. As she stood there, a little rabbit who was not too big and not too small came hopping by. He said to himself, "That's my great mother, Creator Rabbit. I must save her or she will die." With that, he jumped into the stew pot. "Oh no, I must save my creation, or he will die," cried the great rabbit. She reached into the pot, grabbed him up by the ears, and flung him at the moon. The rabbit's own mother paused and pointed to the place where the rabbit had landed. "And there he is to this day," she continued. "That's why we call him the rabbit in the moon." But what about Great Mother Rabbit? She went back to the place she came from. "That's it?" he said. "That's it," replied his mother. "Except, of course, that's why we sing Winter Moon Song, to lighten the darkest month of the year with a trail of magic. Do you like that idea?" He answered her with a smile that was neither big nor small, but was more like a question in the middle of things. And now he turned up his face one more time and said good night to the rabbit in the moon. He turned once again, disappearing through the opening of his burrow. There, tucking his paws under his silvery white body, he settled on a bed of cedar boughs. Through the hole of the burrow he could still see the moon. A question slowly formed in his mind. The more he thought, the more he felt certain that it was an important question. Maybe no one had ever thought such a thing before. The idea that he might be the first rabbit sent shivers of rapture through his body. The question itself filled his whole spirit as finally he slept. The next evening, rabbits from near and far began to fill the space where Winter Moon Song would be performed. The rabbit took his own place with the choir. There they all waited as everyone who had come to hear them shuffled and whispered and coughed below, and the last of the old ones found their places. The gleaming window shut out the night. Candles flickered everywhere. The choir poised on one breath. The age-old song began. And when, 1 hour later, the audience applauded and nudged the old ones awake and then headed happily for the door, the song was done again for another year. A throng of rabbits poured out into the wintry air. The little rabbits stood among them as they visited and chattered and gossiped. Some of them even said that they found the choir particularly stirring this year. Such lovely voices! But he was not convinced. It had been beautiful, yes, even thrilling, but it hadn't been as his mother described, a magical path lighting the darkest month. The winter moon hung above them, the rabbit pattern clearly visible. Nobody seemed to notice. Softly, in the middle of everything, he began to hum the ancient song, and then, as no one appeared to be listening, he sang it a little louder. An old rabbit standing nearby turned slowly and said, "Now isn't that nice? Do you remember the whole thing?" The young rabbit stopped singing and nodded solemnly. "Well then, laddie," cried the elder, "start from the beginning, and don't leave out a single note." The rabbit felt a flicker of panic. "The first note," the elder prompted. "What is it?" "It's a breath, first. We all have to take a breath and to think about it. That's how we begin." "Very good. Then take your breath." "Now?" "Yes." "Oh my," said the rabbit. Bravely he began. He took the first breath alone. He sang the first note alone, a note that was long and very beautiful, and the reason, too, for such a deep breath, a single note that made everyone listen. The elder sighed. A tear rolled down his face and fell into the snow at his feet. Some of the rabbits had already hopped away to their homes, but many remained, young and old, and everything in between, and now all of them listened intently to Winter Moon Song, sung as the young rabbit felt it should be, under the winter moon. Some joined in. Several old ones, including the elder, found their voices that had been lost over time, and they sang with a youthful, lusty joy. And when the song was over and everyone gazed up at the rabbit in the moon, they all felt that they were not separate or lonely, but part of one great rabbit family. "This was the best night ever," the rabbit said to his mother, who had stayed around to hear him sing and create a new tradition. Together, then, they made their way home in the crisp night air as snow fell like stars all around them. That was long ago. The rabbit and his relations are gone, and new rabbits and their relations have come and gone. And of course, other rabbits have come to take their place and gone, and so on and so forth. But the tradition of singing the song to the moon, under the moon, continues to this day. Sometimes they even dance, those rabbits. If you see them leaping and flipping their ears around, well, you know what they've been up to. As for the rabbit in the moon, he reveals himself any season of the year, although he is at his best in winter. He looks the same way as he did long ago, young as tomorrow, old as stone. The end. There's our last picture. All right, everyone, and that story was called Winter Moon Song. There we go. You can see it. I hope you enjoyed it, and I hope I see you again at our next pop up story time. Bye.